All right, guys, going to be jumping into the best prop bets here for Sunday. And yes, I did make a video yesterday already covering some of my favorite prop bets for Sunday. I'm going to be doing another one because, well, there's just more lines out there right now. And also the fantasy score lines are all out there now as well. Hopefully we can gain an edge in that regard. Let's just call out these first three because I find this interesting. Basically, Vegas doesn't think Joshua Dobbs or Ryan Tannehill are going to throw a passing touchdown. If you guys want to roll with that, that's fine. PrizePicks is pretty much valuing them as a push right now at 1 because it's very unlikely that they're going to be able to get 2 passing touchdowns for Josh Dobbs and also Ryan Tannehill. So interesting there. I would say I'm probably not going to use the one on Justin Fields. I'm a little bit worried about that one there. Then from there, you could bet the under rushing yards for Kirk Cousins at 3.5 on PrizePicks. You know, it doesn't really matter too much as a whole there, I would say. It's just, is he going to get a rushing attempt? Probably not. I will say, though, there's a good chance, maybe not a good chance, a decent chance that maybe he does kneel the ball a couple of times in this game as well. They are favored to win this game. My worry when looking at that game is that, oh, this has changed a little bit. I think it was only a 3-point spread. Good. I was going to say, my worry is that the spread's wrong, like 4.5 points. I would say the Vikings should be able to beat the Panthers pretty easily. Like they could easily be 3-0, right? A couple of kind of fluky stuff happening in their game. I mean, we know it's just regression from last year's stuff, but wow, painful stuff for Vikings fans. They should win this game, and if it doesn't, that's going to be more painful. But that's my long way of saying, yeah, you could have a couple of kneel downs. Thus, this line would make more sense. Another passing touchdown prop, where we're seeing the over. Vegas is favoring this as a heavily underdog at 1.5, but they are giving it 1.5. Projection data likes it at 1.2. And I would say there's some merit to that. I would say Jahan Dotson could be the guy that actually has a good game. Let's continue on here. Now, here was a bet that I liked was Westbrook for over 2.5 receptions. But now we're going to see that his PrizePicks line is also probably one that we want to stay away from for fantasy score. It's kind of weird how that worked out. But I would say that's probably correct. Let's get into some of my favorite fantasy score props, Khalil Herbert. And let's kind of do a deep dive into this one. So Herbert has not been playing his full allotment of snaps that we would want him to play. Like when we look at their snaps, we are seeing he is the lead running back. We know that. Tough to say exactly how much snaps we should be expecting from him on a weekly basis because the Bears are just so bad that he's not playing a lot. We saw that in the first game. What is shocking to me is that Foreman is not getting any work, but we do know that if this game is close, like Vegas thinks it's going to be, pull up that game for you guys, 3-point spread pretty much, then we should be expecting closer to 60% of the work, I would say, for Herbert as opposed to Rashawn Johnson. And he has kind of gotten worse as the season progressed. I would say on film, he's becoming just more of a bruiser. He looks good doing that, but Herbert is the better running back there. And so when we look at it there, guys, like he hasn't been getting as involved in the passing game as I would like for this prop bet, but we can see he is getting about 1 or 2 points per game in the passing game, which is huge. And if he does get around, let's just say 10 total opportunities in this game against Denver, a team that literally just got gashed by every single Miami Dolphins player, like, come on, he should be able to get there. So I do agree that's going to be one prop bet that I'm going in on. Like, to me, I see this more as a prop bet of the Bears not getting blown out. And then from there, we're getting odds on Joshua Palmer now. Heavily favored to get over 3.5 receptions. If this one is still there by the time I upload this video, I had already called this out in a different video. By all means, let's go ahead and use this one. It shouldn't be there. Like it was a number that stuck out to me before we got a lot of Vegas lines coming in on him, and now it's still one that's sticking out to me. This Joe Burrow fantasy score one's interesting to me as well. We can see the average sportsbook line is more or less valued at 16.5, and they are actually favoring the under there. Going against this Tennessee Titans defense, and it's more or less will T. Higgins suck, I would say. Jamar Chase I actually like a little bit as well in this game, but the reason why it's such a high number for him in 3 straight games of not getting the over is because of that matchup with the Tennessee Titans. That to me is more of a stay away just because I don't think Joe Burrow looked bad. He probably should have had a better game. And if part of the reason as to why he's probably getting a little disrespected by Vegas is that rain game in the first game. Dameon Pierce under receiving yards. I don't mind this one, but does feel like we'd probably be forcing it a little bit. Chris Godwin under fantasy score. Also one that I don't mind at 3.5. Super frustrating what's going on with Baker Mayfield in this offense. Let's just talk about this. Like Baker Mayfield's been bad. I was glad that people were able to see that in that last game. He was someone that was getting a lot of hype by media for really no reason for or, really just playing poorly and kind of just playing easy defenses and not doing much against them. And now, yes, he threw for 300 yards against the Bears. That's great. But his biggest issue, I'd say, is that he's like too focused on getting the ball to Mike Evans. Like Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, they're different receivers. I get that. And the reason why he has to throw it to Mike Evans more is because Mike Evans is better at winning a one-on-one ball. And because he's not able to read the defense as fast or throw as accurate of a football, he's defaulting to throwing it up to Mike Evans a little bit more because, well, he's one of the better one-on-one catchers in the league. He can go out and compete with a defender very well and catch the football. But it has been at the detriment, I would say, of this offense. You need to get Chris Godwin the ball a little bit more. You need to be able to move the chains. And so it's like we've seen it 3 times now where he's not getting Chris Godwin the ball. Frustrating. He should be. But at this point, the only way I would say Chris Godwin gets his over is if both Mike Evans and Marshawn Lattimore get kicked out of the game again, which honestly a little bit of a worry. If that happens, then yeah, I think Chris Godwin you could bet the over on. Here's another one that I like, 4 Noah Gray for over fantasy score. This one is another one that kind of stood out to me, and this is why I like the fantasy score props, guys. Noah Gray 3. This is such a low number for him, and I want to call it a few reasons. 1, he's going to be on the field. Now, my biggest question that I have, and this isn't something that I was watching for when I was watching film, is the amount of snaps that he got last week at 62%. Was that because it was a blowout? Like he's still going to play probably about 50% of the snaps. We know that. That was seemingly a hot take by some people. They didn't like that take that I said, Noah Gray is going to continue to be on the field a lot. I think that's our biggest takeaway from week 1 is that he's going to be on the field a decent amount, a lot more than people think, a lot more 12 personnel. And we saw that happen. 60% of the snaps 2 weeks ago, 60% of the snaps last week. That might be the norm for Noah Gray. Personally, he's kind of like their third best pass catcher besides like Travis Kelce and whichever receiver's playing well that game. He's a reliable target for them. And so even if he gets like 50% of the snaps against the Jets defense, which you would hope can keep the game close enough for long enough, but this is a good matchup for opposing tight ends. So this line that we're getting on him to me is highly appealing. Like this is 2 catches or 1 catch, 20 yard. I argue he's better to get 2 catches here, but yeah, I agree with the over here, especially given the matchup, especially if he is going to be on the field that much. That's really to me what we're betting on here is him being on the field over 50% of the snap. And that's the weakness in the Jets defense. It is currently the passing game. From there, Kyle Pitts, I already touched on that game. If you guys want that kind of take, make sure to be checking that one out. This Sam Howell one's kind of interesting to me. We can see we are getting a bunch of decent Sam Howell props. We saw over passing yards as being favored. We see over rushing yards as now being favored. And now we see over fantasy scores also being favored as well at 14.5. That's a very low number. Want to call it that the projection data doesn't like it as much compared to how Vegas thinks this game's going to go. And really, I would say this is more or less just due to the matchup with the Eagles, who have not been as good against the pass. And, Sam Howell, don't think he looked as bad as 4 INTs for only 170 yards, but he definitely didn't look good. Let's put it that way. And so I would say, if he gets his over fantasy score, that probably come because 1, he's going to rush the football maybe for 20 yards, but 2, it'd be because of a little bit of garbage time, some softer, maybe prevent defense more or less in the second half. And he gets there in that sense. Heck, if you're getting a first half prop on him, let's bet the under, and then second half, you could bet the over there. That's how I would probably approach that. And then from there, we're getting a lot of under fantasy score props. I do find this one with Juju to be extremely interesting. He has been gaining a ton of snaps. Really don't know why. And I called out, let's just look at that real quick. Juju, I shouldn't say a ton of snaps, but more than you would want him to get. 52, 60, and 72.5. Meanwhile, their best receiver, Demario Douglas, who played in 42% of the snaps in week 1, 8 with that fumble in week 2. He is definitely in the doghouse right now. He muffed a punt. Reports were that he was going to start, muffed a punt, almost muffed a punt, bobbled it. I think that's part of the reason as to why he didn't play that much in that game. But at some point, you just have to have Demario Douglas play for Juju. He looks terrible. You can't be having that occur. And so I do expect that to occur eventually. And maybe that happens this week, but Juju just hasn't looked good. Okay. And it's kind of crazy that he's getting those snaps. They trust these washed veterans. I shouldn't say that Zeke looked good last week, but I would say I do agree with betting the under for Juju. It feels like less of a lock, like this 55% that we're getting. I don't love that. I'd probably say more close to 53%, but still not a bad one. Ryan Tannehill, with Treylon Burks out, it's tough for me to imagine him getting over the fantasy score. Seems like a better bet there, an underdog to bet under 13 for the fantasy score there. Chris Olave, he's been balling out. I would say this is very touchdown dependent if he's going to get that, and probably should already have a touchdown. He's been a little bit unlucky in that department. Does get somewhat of a tough matchup there going against Tampa Bay, and it's going to be the first game with Alvin Kamara back. You got Jameis Winston there, not good, I would say. A lot of Jets fans were calling for the Jets to trade for Jameis Winston. I'm like, are we still sure we want that after what we saw against the Packers? Probably not. And I don't know. I don't feel like that's a must bet there. Rushing attempts, yeah, this one's still out there. Most are for under 12.5 rushing yards or rushing attempts. This is a very good EV bet that you could make. I don't really love it. That's up to you guys if you want to roll with that. Josh Downs, this one's an interesting thought process, I would say, given the fact that Anthony Richardson is expected to be back. Does that result in a little bit more rushing attempts for this offense? Thus, Josh Downs, who has been impressive, has been getting a decent amount of receptions. That could be a good under bet. We saw last week, his fantasy score was up, his receptions were up, probably partially due to a change in the schematics for that offense. So yeah, I could see betting the under there. The LA Rams DBs have been a little bit better than you would expect though, so a little bit of caution there. Continue on. Tyler Higbee, I don't want to touch Tyler Higbee. We got Chris Olave, once again betting the under there. If you guys want to roll with that, we can see kind of why that's a bet that's standing out. This I find interesting here. All right, so we're seeing that, Tyler Conklin under 7 for a fantasy score. I agree with that. That seems to be a pretty good one. But I wanted to call these two out. Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs here. Right? Is weird. Is it not? Like, all right, if we're going to be betting one of them for over fantasy score, we'd probably want to bet the other, right? But maybe this is more, we'll start with Josh Allen. Maybe this is more of that game having the potential to blow out. Actually, I don't really get this one. I feel like Josh Allen should be able to go off against them. Like Miami, he's played well against them in the past. I kind of get it when you look at his game log and everything, why they're liking the under there. I would say Diggs would be the better one for just like bet is over fantasy score if you're going to be betting one. I did get Diggs at 6.5 receptions. That has since been bumped to 7. And yeah, I would say this makes more sense. Like that game has a good chance to be a shootout. You kind of expect Diggs to be able to score a touchdown. But like honestly, if he's getting to 17 for a fantasy score, let's say part of the reason as to why he's getting there is because he scored a touchdown. I'd probably rather roll with that bet than I would for the over fantasy score. I would say both of them correlate pretty well. It'd be for you guys to decide which one you would want to go with for sure there. But we can see, guys, we are getting so many good EV bets in general here. Let's talk about another one I want to call out. I just want to really get into the fantasy score props. So I'm just going to go to the props, fantasy score. We already touched on a lot of these, but I wanted to call it this one. Nico Collins. We're getting about a 55% chance for him to get over 10.5 there on PrizePicks. He's projected to get 13.2 and more the sportsbook line is set at 11. The thing with Nico Collins last week is that they didn't need him to be productive because there was a couple of blown coverages that led to Tank Dell being wide open, which for DFS purposes, thank you. Watching film back, I realized I was lucky. A lucky call, kind of. I mean, too cheap. He's a good talent. You knew he was going to be involved in the offense, but like the two big plays over there were definitely just blown coverages. Gosh, I hate when they do this. Why are they doing this? They're not showing the last game here with Nico Collins, and guys, FYI, for Tank Dell, they are. It's just annoying that they do that. For Nico Collins, we'll just scroll down here so you guys can see it. Week 1, 80 yards receiving, 14 points. Week 2 really went off. Last week, they didn't need him to go off. Does get a much better matchup here against Pittsburgh. I would say I am agreeing with Nico Collins is a better talent than Tank Dell. And I know I've been talking up Tank Dell a lot. If you guys are hearing me say that and say no, I want to roll with Tank Dell, by all means, roll with Tank Dell. You could roll with both of them. You could run out CJ Stroud, Tank Dell, Nico Collins stack. I'd be fine with that. I actually don't mind the idea. I'm kind of talking myself into that, given this Pittsburgh defense that, if they don't get home, could struggle. But if they do get home, Houston's not going to do as well. But yeah, I'm going to roll with Nico there, I think, for over fantasy score. Doesn't feel as good as the first two. And for what it's worth, with CJ Stroud, we are seeing that as well. That's going to be another good bet that we could be on. So a good stacking opportunity there. I'm just going to write that down here as a stack because those both correlate pretty well together. We already did the Diggs one. I'm not touching Baker for over fantasy score. Heck no. Sam Howell I already mentioned. Bryce Young is kind of interesting. Gets that good matchup against the Minnesota Vikings. DJ Chark's back. That's going to help him. Let's take a further look at that one. They have the line set at 1 passing touchdown. That's 4 points. About a point rush, and that's 5 there. Probably needs a little bit more than that. I don't mind this. I think it'll be tight. I might roll with the over here. Let's see if we're getting one for Adam Thielen. A fantasy score 11, that's kind of low as well. Maybe another chance for a stacking opportunity between either Adam Thielen or DJ Chark. And I say DJ Chark because I do think he's eventually going to be the number one there. He was during the preseason, it seemed like. But you could do a stack of those two, Adam Thielen and Young. Then from there, we're getting a lot of situations where we're seeing the under there, but we're getting below 54%. I did want to look at the Rams players props. Tutu Atwell, 11.5. Tank Dell, we're getting, favoring the over there. So yes, you could run on a stack there with CJ Stroud, Tank Dell, and Nico Collins. Don't mind that. But then we're just starting to get to the pushing territory. And for Adam Thielen, slightly favoring the over there. Projecting at 12. Average sportsbook line has set 11.6. So not a big edge there. And then just real quickly, taking a peek here at the ODDSJAM fantasy score or fantasy optimizer as well, just to see if we are getting any other props there that they like. And it's a lot of combo props. So if that Miami game is going to be high scoring, we could be betting a lot of these, like Gabe Davis, Josh Allen. Will they score a rushing or receiving touchdown? Probably. I could see betting the over there. Dalton Kincaid, James Cook, probably less likely. This one I found interesting as well. George Kittle, James Conner. Debo Samuel currently banged up. Brandon Ayuk still banged up as well. George Kittle could be a little bit more involved in that offense. And then you also have James Conner, who, if they're going to score a touchdown, the Cardinals, you would expect James Conner to be the one that's most likely to score. I think Najee Harris has a great opportunity to score a touchdown against Houston. And I'm actually going to write this one down because I think that is my favorite one. Justin Fields, Roschon Johnson, rushing touchdown. You would think, but I don't know. I don't love that either. Dalton Kincaid, Diggs, I like this one probably the most. I think Diggs should be able to score a touchdown in this game. If not, let's see let's in our heads, who could get the touchdown. Josh Allen, rushing touchdown. I would say like Damian Harris, probably decent likelihood, or Murray to get a rushing touchdown. Diggs is most likely to score passing or receiving touchdown. Then Gabe Davis. That's kind of a toss-up. Probably Dawson Knox and then Kincaid. I'm going to roll with that one. I like that one a decent amount. And then against the Chicago Bears, will Courtland Sutton or Jerry Jeudy score a receiving touchdown? Man, I hope so. That Bears defense is so bad, and they're more banged up as well. Like maybe Mims scores a long touchdown, or maybe Brandon Johnson gets one as well. But man, I think I'm going to go with that one as well. So we are getting some good combo props here as well. I'm going to put that one down, and I think we're good to go. It's going to get into the bet of the day. So I'm going to split up the two bet slips just because we have too many out there. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 written down. So we got the 3 combo props. These are the ones I feel best about. If I had to rank them, I would say 1, just given that Bears defense. 2, I guess. And then 3, we have a decent chance to really kind of go game stack for that Buffalo Bills Miami game, props betting wise, shootout wise. Like we saw a lot of the combo touchdowns be ones that we could roll out there. But all those are fine. If you guys want to use those in like a 2-bet slip with one of the other ones I'm about to call it, by all means, you could do that. And then here's the other bet slip that we're coming out there. We got the 3 best fantasy score prop ones that I like. These 2 are definitely the 2 that we should be rolling with, I would say. We just saw Denver get gashed on the ground. You would expect Khalil Herbert to at least be able to have a decent game. That game could be a sneaky shootout game there as well. We got Noah Gray for over fantasy score. If he's going to be on the field that much, going to be tough to imagine him not getting there. And then we're just running out the Nico Collins, CJ Stroud stack as well. If you guys didn't want to roll with this, then we could then go ahead and I'll show you guys the slip, do a 6 slip bet with the combo ones that we just ran out and these 3. You could also do the Bryce Young, maybe potential Adam Thielen stack as well. That game also has a bit of a chance to blow or be a shootout as well. I feel like that Minnesota-Carolina game, also a game that we could be stacked. So like this is the bigger bet slip that you could then run out. This is just really taking out like all the other props, the receiving props and whatnot. If you guys want to roll with those are all going to be good EV bets as well. But these are what the data sees and what I see as the best bet. Nico Collins as well for over fantasy score. I guess I cut that one off. I like that one as well with this. Now, here's a potential way that you could stack that game. Like I mentioned, we got these really good bets right here, I would say. And then Russell Wilson, if he's going to be throwing a touchdown, that obviously helps him out. I think he's going to be rushing the football a decent amount. Going against the Bears, that's going to be an appealing prop bet. All right, and then this last one here is basically just all me. I see this game as a shootout. I was trying to find maybe the best Minnesota prop bet other than Alexander Madison we could make. I just think TJ Hawkinson is going to continue to be involved in this offense a ton. I just love the receptions he's getting. We didn't have a reception prop, so I went with fantasy score. That does feel a little bit risky, a little bit too much touchdown dependent. But Alexander Madison, he's in a perfect spot in this game. He should be able to go off, whether it be 2 rushing touchdowns, whether it be receptions. I think either way he gets there. And then I think that this one correlates pretty well as well. But that's going to be all for today's video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the coverage. Make sure to give that thumbs up and a like and subscribe to the channel. If you guys want access to my tools, click the link in the description below. $10 a month, 9to5sports.com. If you guys want access to those ODDSJAM tools as well, you get 25% off if you use the promo code 925. That also will kick back money to my channel as well. So help me help you guys, you know. All right, that's all I have for you guys this week. Let's have a good slate. And as always, let's keep cashing.